Hello and welcome to another episode of Frugal Finance. My name is Matthew and today we're going to be looking at a presentation that I did for the New Haven Enterprise Centre and the New Haven Chamber of Commerce. It's to do with small business growth and really how you can control your business. So hopefully you'll enjoy the video. If you don't mind, please do leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit the like button. Helps other YouTube algorithms recommend the video to people that might be interested in this sort of thing, whether it's business growth or networking at all, or if you're in the East Sussex area, maybe you want to come on down to the Enterprise Centre or to join one of the local chambers, the Seaford, New Haven, Peacehaven in the local area. So with that said, we'll get into the video, but don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, don't forget to comment below. It really does help with the algorithms and getting the video out to a new audience. So with that said, we'll crack on. I'm from Charles Cox Property Management. It's my company and I formed that about 10 years ago. And what I want to talk to you today is not specifically about my company as such, more about the kind of journey that I've been on and what I like to call as the snowball effect. So actually helping businesses grow, because when you first start out in business, I appreciate everyone here is going to be at different levels in their journey. It can be quite a scary thing and you don't really know where you're going and how things are going to kind of escalate into whatever your vision might be at the end. So again, my name's Matthew, my company is Charles Cox Property Management and this is the snowball effect. So basically, what's the snowball effect? So a little bit like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts off small, which is your business idea, and then obviously over time it grows, and then as it picks up momentum it grows exponentially. So there are going to be a few slides here and some graphs. I'm not going to talk about coronavirus infection rates, so hopefully no one will get too bored. But basically the snowball effect is that kind of growth of a business. And then what we finish off with is actually how the snowball stops rolling at the bottom of the hill, because obviously every hill has a stop. How do you keep that momentum going, or what do you do at that point? So effectively the actual terminology is called an S-curve, which is just basically this kind of starting at the bottom here where you're small and then you grow exponentially and then you peter out when your business perhaps matures or maybe even starts to decline. But I prefer the snowball effect because it sounds like a prettier name than S-curve. Effectively, the S-curve is actually really ran the other way when we talk about it on a snowball effect, because it's more like down the hill. So there are 5 key steps: product, service development, marketing strategy, managing growth, maturity, and then stability and decline. So the first key step we're going to talk about is the product, service or development. So one of the first things I had to work out personally was what is going to be our unique selling point, so our USP. And for us, it's actually, we do management of property, which I know is generally quite a boring subject and there's lots of people doing that, but what we specialise in is blocks of flats. So we don't do any lettings, we don't do any sales, we don't do any sort of commercial stuff. It's literally residential blocks of flats. So that's our USP, and that's going to distinguish us from other businesses. And it was quite key for me at an early stage to really focus in on that. The issue with doing that is how does that compare to our competitors? So obviously a lot of our competitors will do multidiscipline, so they will do sales, lettings and so on. How am I going to sell that to people? Because they might come to me and say, well, I want to sell my house as well as have perhaps my flats managed or whatever. So a focus of mine and of any good business person when you're doing this stage 1 is really to see how your competitors and how you're going to distinguish that and really define your unique selling point or your USP. And then you've got to be ready for some negative feedback, because there will be people that challenge you on perhaps your USP or what your competitors are doing. So like for us, for instance, people came to us and said, so are you big enough to take this? This is quite a niche market. You know, what if we want to survey, or what if we want to sell our property? You know, why you're only doing leasehold blocks of flats? What if we have a freehold house? So they're all challenges that I had to come up against when I was initially setting up the business and getting that kind of snowball rolling off that peak of the hill, if you like. And then the point 3 is how to learn to harness those things. So obviously we were able to turn that those negative things around back on their head essentially, and say to people, well, you're free to go elsewhere, you're not stuck with us, you don't have to use us as an agency, you don't have to use our surveying department if you've got a friend down the road that you like, so everybody's business will be different, but these are some key kind of thoughts, if you like, for the process to start with. So recognising what your USP is, how you're different to your competitors, what negative feedback you're going to likely to receive, like if you put yourself in your customer's shoes, and then learning how to harness that. So that's your kind of first key step, if you like. And then after that, it moves on to marketing strategies. So how are you actually going to get customers? How are you going to go about building your business and your customer basis? So how are you going to market your USB? How are you going to actually tell people about it? So obviously there are lots of different things. Sorry if it's a bit small for you at the back there, but so social media, usage of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they're all generally quite underrated to begin with, and for a lot of small business owners, they will kind of perhaps don't see the value in them, and it's very difficult to build up a customer basis. But I can tell you that a lot of people, friends and family, will share your posts. Your LinkedIn profile is about you. You could have a business one, and many different things. It's kind of some of the stuff Julia, who was speaking at the beginning, does with her business. Networking events. This event here, you meet people, you can tell people about your business, the chambers, you get a minute to speak. All those sort of things are about how you are going to build your brand and get that snowball rolling off the initial part of the hill. You can do things like leaflet dropping, advertising, but you've got to work out if those are cost beneficial to you, because some of them can be quite high barrier to entry, and there's no point in you advertising in the back of a golf magazine if you sell crochet, for instance, because those people are not going to be interested in that. You need to figure that out, but you need to be thinking about these things in advance if you want to get that kind of exponential growth going. Existing clients, obviously they're going to talk about your products if they're happy with them. Hopefully they'll give you nice reviews and things, which I'll touch on there. Your website, a lot of people rush off, they go get the cheap $9.99 GoDaddy website. As you grow, you need to make sure that that is representative of the type of business that you go. Does it look professional? Does it need updating? Does it actually tickle the Google Analytics buttons and the rest of it in the background? And then integration of all those things. How are they all going to come in? So your marketing, your branding, how's it all going to look? Every time you get an opportunity, you want to talk about your business, you want to have, touch points, business cards, brochures, all that kind of stuff all ready to go. And obviously the bigger your business gets, the more those are key, because you need some continuity throughout. So for example, like that is our logo there. We changed that to like the gay pride style thing, so it's something that we promote during the summer months. And then even things like this is staff nights out, so we post that on the social media so that people know that we're human and we're not just robots sitting here. So I think those sort of things for us were really important in the early days to make us look like we were integrated in terms of marketing, and perhaps portray an image that we were maybe bigger than we were at the time, really, because we're littering the world with like our kind of literature, if you like, the logos, everything, as much as we possibly could. And then managing growth is probably the next part. So you've now grown your business and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well that's fine, it's growing, it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's now a bit of an unwieldy snowball, and it's kind of a little bit out of control, to be honest. Don't really know where it's going. In fact, I can't stop it anymore. And you need to really start thinking about how you can integrate things like people, your team, your core values, technology, suppliers, brands, and make them work for you. You probably ended up signing up for lots of things like photocopier contracts, you've got staff, you might have HR problems because you've got a few staff and they've started querying the way you run the business or whatever it is. You've got to recognise that you perhaps don't know all of those things, and you need to leverage other people's skills. So staffing, supply, office space, HR, that kind of stuff. It's very daunting at that moment in time, but if you can recognise that actually the key to success in that is by harnessing other people's skills and leveraging them to an advantage. I don't know anything about HR, for example, so when we got to a point where I had a lady who works for me who wanted to go on maternity leave, I was stuck. So I got a HR company because I recognised the time for me to learn how to deal with the law and the legislation was not worth the money and the hassle. So we now have a HR company in, and that's been revolutionary. They do lots of different things for us now. There was a cost element to that, so I'm not going to lie, that was an implication. I thought, am I going to tie up for this for a long period of time? It's a decision to make. But actually now that's a stress that it's taken, and as the Snowball's got bigger, it's invaluable now. I don't believe we could sort of do without it really. So you've got that element, managing client expectations as well. So we had an awful lot of, it's probably my fault slightly to be honest, but we took on a lot of clients at the beginning. We went in very cheap with things. I wanted to build the business up. I'm very grateful for people coming on board. But as the years have gone by, those initial clients, they might really be quite underpaying in comparison to other ones, or they're chewing up a lot of time. And there's nostalgia to that, because obviously they're the ones that help us got their business off the ground, and and they've been there and supported us in the early days. But you have to manage that expectation. If that's stifling growth because they're not paying you correctly, or you're not charging them the correct amount, you're going to have to address that, or you're going to end up with an issue where you need things like the staff and the HR, but you can't afford them because obviously you haven't addressed the underlying profitability. So managing expectations of clients, in terms of what they're paying and what they can expect. In terms of what they can expect, obviously you've got, as you grow, your service levels may drop a little or become more complicated, or you're going to have to put more automation into it and it'll become less personal, and therefore people will say, oh, I like the days when I used to come in and see Matt or Jake or whatever, and they're never here anymore. Well, we've grown and I can't be here all the time, so you have to manage that expectation. And then the third thing really is, have your core values changed, or do you need rebalancing? So when your Snowball gets quite big, it can be very easy to kind of go off on a tangent. We actually started taking on clients that had commercial buildings underneath them and various other odds and sods, and going around and inspecting people's properties and things, because they all just came, and I thought, why are we doing all these little things? We've kind of lost our focus, if you like, and that's very easy to do. And you can, two opportunities: either you ditch all those sort of things, or you can say, okay, well, I'll harness them into a new business, or welcome them into our existing business. But do our core values need changing? So it's always important just to keep an eye on those things as you grow, because if you don't keep an eye on them, it becomes this kind of big snowball that you can't really control, and it's very difficult to undo once you're rolling down the hill, as the analogy of a snowball really is. So the next stage here is the maturity. This is the point where your business has probably got all those systems in place. You've got your HR, you've got your staff, you've got your kind of pay structures for people. You shouldn't need to take on every single client in the world, just because they're a big client. It's got to be good value for you. And really the snowball effect should be like kind of going along quite nicely in a controlled manner, rather than just this kind of, we're picking up bits everywhere and it's all out of control and don't know where it's going to crash at the bottom. This is the real maturity stage, which a lot of businesses now, we're at that stage, but obviously that is where we're at the top of the S-curve that we referred to at the beginning, or the bottom of the hill, where you are in danger of petering out, and then obviously you may start to decline, or you're currently going along on a sort of zero growth, if you like. So then the final stage is the stability or the decline stage. So you're stable, you're going along nicely, you've got all your systems in place, but just being stagnant and stable may result in a decline in your business, because obviously people will go, well, I'll go over to that young dynamic firm over there, or whatever it is, and start to perhaps shift elsewhere. People don't get any younger, so that they want to look about a little bit. So you need to start looking back over the 5 key points, really. Where are we going with our marketing? What are we doing with our website? How are we in control of everything? Those sort of things. And are there any other niches in the market? Is there anything else that we can be targeting? Should we be looking at other avenues? Has the market changed? Economic forces. Like we do leasehold, for instance. If the government changed the laws on leasehold, we will have to look at different avenues. So it's quite key to be dynamic at this point, assuming that obviously you're not maybe getting to retirement and looking at selling your business, but assuming that you're kind of still in the wanting to grow it a little bit stage. So again, this is the very top of the S-curve, and if you're not careful, that will come back down again into a decline. So here we have like these various circles here. So these are like innovation windows. So that would be where you perhaps would introduce a new product, service or something like that. And then you may start this S-curve all over again. So this 5-step cycle is kind of get to the end and then go back to the beginning essentially to reevaluate where you are. So that's kind of the snowball effect in a sort of a nutshell, really. So hopefully that's given you some kind of idea as to the sort of journey that we're at. We're probably kind of in the sort of just before the mature stage, so we're maybe in a few years' time we'll be looking at how we can innovate the business and go down different routes. We're moving around in the centre here, for example. We're having an office which has an outdoor presence, or an outdoor door, as opposed to coming through here. You know, we're doing lots of marketing. We're starting to go to networking events a bit more, going back through the list of the 5 key stages to see where we can go back and re-innovate and kind of continue to grow. So yeah, that's the snowball effect or S-curve. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or if anyone wants to share anything at all on their journey. I mean, everybody's in a different bit of life.
I've got a question going back to you were saying about the clients that were with you when you began, and
yeah,
you give them a nice, lovely deal. I'm at the point now where I've got some of them, and they're lovely, and I really like working with them. But yeah, as you say, maybe they need to change the deal. How do you approach that? What tips have you got for trying to?
It's an incredibly difficult topic to address. We've got clients which I would kind of split into probably 2 key categories, I suppose. Ones that we've had for a long time and I get on very well with them and I trust them and the rest of them. And there's a choice with those customers. Do I approach them? Are they that valuable to me? Am I going to upset them if I put up the price? Are they going to accept it? And you know your customers better than me. And some of them will just go, yeah, I totally understand. You haven't had a pay rise or you haven't increased your fees for 5 years. And you've justified it, market rates are this, so you're still getting a good deal even after I put my fees up, that kind of thing. Or maybe suggesting to them that that's the going rate, but we'll do a little increase every year until we get to the going rate, because probably by the time we get to the going rate in 5 years' time, it won't be the going rate anymore. So they always feel like they've got a deal. Those customers are the good ones. They're the ones you want to keep and hold on to because they believe and they still support you and they still work with you. The other ones who probably came to you because you were cheap and have no loyalty, you have to single those ones out and say, look, I'm putting the price up, maybe the same sort of offer, and they might say, oh, we're going to look around, and just let them look around, don't get too emotional to it. They'll probably come back and say, look, can't find anything cheaper, we'll stay with you, or we found some young guy who looks nicer and he's much prettier than you, Matthew, so we're going with him. Who knows?
Surely that's
He doesn't wear a pink jumper. So you may, you'll find that those people will either go because they didn't want to stick around anyway, they were just there because it was cheap, or they'll believe in you, and you need to let them do their kind of exercise of hunting around and then coming back to you, really. So we've lost clients because of price, and then they've come back a few years later and then they've said, look, we went somewhere else, they weren't very good, then we've come back to you, and we were happy with that. I mean, me and Jake only spoke to some people pretty much where I'm standing now, because this is normally a meeting room. 7 years ago, 2013, well actually 8 years ago, we managed their building, they went to another provider and they've now come back to us. So, because they were happy, they went actually back through the correspondence that I wrote to them back in 2013, and I thought this was going to be a disaster because they're just going to moan at me about something I said back then, but no, they were very happy, and whatever my recommendation was back then, they're still running with it now. So yeah, so I think it's distinguishing your customer basis is probably the key to that.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you consider your single point of failure to be?
Single point of failure, personally, not going out my own sooner. Okay. I finished university. I spent a long time trying to climb. I was in a partnership in Lewis, and I spent an awful long time trying to reach being a partner, and then when I got there I thought, this isn't for me, I'm going to go on my own. So that was probably a waste of 5 years of my life. But I always think you can look back at that and think to yourself, well, I learned a lot doing that, and I also learned that I'm quite self-centered and I'd rather run my own business with no partners. I don't know what that says about me and my wife, but I learned that. In terms of probably from a business point of view, I would say it's a combination of taking on too many clients at too cheap at the beginning, because this problem that we were talking about just now it has been quite a prevalent problem for us to try and get those people kind of to a normal pricing scale, and it's not a kind of bigging up the enterprise centre, but actually we spent a long time in a very small office that wasn't really suitable for us and probably stifled growth. Jake, who's doing the filming here, he will remember that where there was the three of us in a small office in Seaford, and we've moved to here and we've been here for 3 years, and now there's 8 of us, in that time. And some of that is because of the facilities, parking, front desk, nice modern appearance, and you can sell that if you are that way inclined. I sell this space here, people can come in, they can drop keys, Alex will be at the front desk to take stuff. It looks much more professional, whereas we were kind of in, for a better word, a bit of a broom cupboard before. And you look like a tin pot outfit really, and there is a cost element. It was put off by the rent was cheap where we were, but I believe that probably stifled me for longer than I needed to. I think we probably should have made the move sooner. So yeah, it's probably my personal and business mistake, I would say.
Any thoughts, Matthew, on when you will sell your business, or at what point a business should be sold on the basis of those curves?
Well, I think if you're looking for maximum profitability and you're young and you may go on to something else, you probably want to sell it in the middle of that climb up the S-curve, because then you can sell the fact that you are a growing business, you've got systems in place and someone can take over and it's almost slightly automated, and tell them about your next innovation so that they can then feel like there's the value to add to the building, to the business. Because I think most people that invest in businesses are looking to see what they can buy it for and then how they can grow that business and what value they are. Obviously, if you're in your kind of late 60s, 70s, that might be a different thing. You might be in a rush to get rid of it because you want to retire, so you're going to have to sell it at whatever point you're at in that S-curve. But optimisation, I would say, at the peak of that S-curve or the bottom of the hill for the Snowball. Because I think then you're selling it to somebody who probably believes that they can expand the business from there, which is going to get you maximum amount of revenue for that. I think that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. It's often difficult to know whether you're on what point you're on that curve, though, isn't it? I mean, that's.
Yes.
I mean, do you, in your own mind, have you thought about when that might be for you? Is there a sort of critical mass of
For me, I think I've probably got several cycles of that innovation period to go on. As a firm, we probably reached the sort of stabilisation bit a couple of years ago. We now do buying property and refurbishing it as another business alongside this one. So I think I've got several of those to go, but I do think probably there'll become a time where I either get a partner in to run the business, so I'll remain the owner, but there'll be somebody running it, maybe a partnership of some sort, or merge with another company. But if none of that happens, probably late 50s, early 60s, I guess. There would probably be about a time I would sell it. I don't think I'd want the hassle then. There's probably more profitable things and easier things to do with the money. And that's in your own life curve, isn't it? When you're young, you've got energy and enthusiasm to do 12 different businesses, but when I get to 60, I won't want to do that's for sure. Yeah, anybody else?
No? Oh.
Jake wants to know when he's going to be partner.
Well, I think that was brilliant.
All right, so I hope that gives you a good insight into what the actual Snowball effect or method is, effectively the S-curve. If you kind of Google or YouTube S-curve, that's kind of will give you like the exponential growth. So companies like Tesla, they are arguably at the bottom of their S-curve, even though obviously they're quite, the stock prices and things like that have rocketed up for them. So yeah, really interesting topic, hopefully. Obviously a bunch of nice networking and really about how you can grow your business and then control that. So if you want to know more about that, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment below. I'll try and get back to people as soon as possible. With that said, I shall see you next time.